Good evening. A 12-year-old boy is in custody tonight facing charges, including attempted murder, after a Toronto police officer was struck by a car.
Police say the boy was driving that vehicle, one they ended up firing shots into. It happened after police responded to reports of a stolen vehicle in the East End. CTV's Beth McDonnell has been following the investigation. She joins us live now with the latest. Beth.
Michelle, investigators were here at the Leaside Bridge for most of the day. It reopened to traffic about 90 minutes ago. Area residents are finding this whole situation upsetting and distressing. I can tell you, I saw some video of the incident. You can hear 5 gunshots and tires screeching. With sirens and lights blaring on the Leaside Bridge, a Toronto police officer sits on the ground up against the guardrail. This is the scene after the Special Investigations Unit says a chain of events unfolded involving an officer firing at a stolen vehicle driven by a 12-year-old boy. His passengers, another 12-year-old and 13-year-old.
I think I heard 3 all after each other, like boom, 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 in the sequence like that. And then I heard and saw the car speed off this way.
The SIU says the chaos began with a call to police about a car stolen from a nearby subway station on Danforth. Officers used 2 cruisers to box the car on the bridge. When the 12-year-old driving tried to get away, an officer was hit by the car.
And in the course of that, there were multiple shots fired at the vehicle by that officer. The driver then fled this scene and abandoned the vehicle a short distance away from here.
Here is the vehicle, the doors flung open, sitting about a kilometer away at Floyd and Donlands Avenues. One resident in the area tells CTV News she heard what sounded like young people running, saying something to the effect of, "We got to get away from the cops." The SIU says the driver was caught a few blocks away from the car.
Saw guys with, looked like they had assault rifles, police, and with flashlights, looking in everybody's backyard. They shined the flashlight into my face as I was staring out the back window, and yeah, it was just a bizarre circumstance.
This is the 3rd serious incident causing a police officer in Ontario to either be injured or killed on the job within the past week. Last Tuesday, OPP Constable Taryn Bali was struck and killed by an accused 18-year-old driver in Northern Ontario. Then on Thursday, Toronto Police Constable Mark Pinizzato was executing a search warrant when he was shot and killed. The accused, 19 years old. The officer hit in this case went to hospital with serious injuries but has since been released.
The violence against police officers need to stop. And we were lucky we don't have another dead police officer here today.
The SIU says the stolen vehicle was struck by gunfire. It says the other 12-year-old in the car was also caught. The 13-year-old is still out there. The SIU says the 12-year-old boy driving the stolen vehicle sustained non-life-threatening injuries, either by being grazed by a bullet or from glass from the vehicle. He is now facing several charges, including attempted murder. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. An investigation is underway after a Toronto police scout car was involved in a crash in North York. Officers were responding to reports of a stolen vehicle near Jane and Shepherd just before noon. They ended up involved in a collision near Keele and Wilson. So far, there have been no reports of injuries.
Police are searching for suspects in connection with a deadly hit and run and brawl in North York over the weekend.
A 32-year-old man was assaulted and struck by a vehicle early yesterday morning and later died at the scene. CTV Sean Leathon has been speaking with residents in the area who are shedding more light on the events that led up to the incident. Sean.
Well, Nathan, residents say there's been an ongoing problem in the parking lot behind me that led to the altercation yesterday, where 32-year-old Eric Safar, a father of 3, was killed. Eric Safar was killed early Sunday morning. According to Toronto police, the father of 3 was the victim of a hit and run after an altercation in front of his home. Neighbors say they heard loud noises followed by screaming.
I saw him on the ground. He was laying down on the ground and then he passed away.
George Kasabian lives in the building. He's one of several neighbors who say they were woken up by revving car engines just before 6 o'clock in the parking lot. According to the victim's family, Eric Safar confronted the people who were making noise. That's when a fight broke out.
I heard the yelling, screaming. My God, it was a horrible hour.
No, all I know is the lady was screaming and I was screaming, is she okay? That's it.
Safar was left lying on the pavement in front of the building after police say he was hit by a vehicle. First responders performed life-saving measures, but Safar was pronounced dead at the scene. Today, candles have been placed in front of the first-floor apartment where the victim lived. A woman answered the door in tears, saying that the suspect took a father from his 3 kids. Residents say it's common to hear loud noises and revving engines late at night and early in the morning. They've called police before.
Usually on the weekends, there's usually a couple people here arguing, yelling, revving their cars.
The guy, he comes all the time and he do lots of noises in the morning, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. You don't sleep, you can't sleep.
Several residents who did not want to appear on camera say the loud cars are driven by men visiting 2 women who live in the building. This image provided to CTV News is said to have been taken just before the killing.
Only information I can release right now is that a light-colored vehicle was seen fleeing the area.
According to neighbors, there were 2 vehicles, one a white BMW, the other a metallic gray or gold BMW. They say more than one person may have confronted the men in the cars, and this baseball bat was on the ground just meters from where the victim died.
There's definitely witnesses, plural. There was more than one person involved for sure.
One witness said the women who live in the building left in the fleeing vehicle. Police have not confirmed any suspect descriptions or how many suspects they're looking for. They are urging all parties involved to
turn yourself in. It's not going to be long until you're discovered.
Police also would not confirm reports of more than one vehicle involved in the altercation. Toronto police had also said yesterday that somebody else was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, but they didn't specify the involvement of that person. Reporting live, I'm Sean Neathong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Also tonight, striking public sector workers take their fight to the streets as new questions are raised about the amount of tax dollars going to private companies to administer public services. The call for an Auditor General investigation just ahead. But first, let's head outside for our first look at the forecast on this Monday evening. Lots of sunshine today. Lovely to see all those folks enjoying the beautiful conditions at Nathan Phillips Square. It is noticeably cooler, yet perhaps more comfortable for some. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Lindsay.
Yeah, Michelle, I was live at Nathan Phillips Square on Friday. It was hot underneath that blazing sun. Today, a little more comfortable. We've got a mix of sun and cloud for that viewing party happening right now. There is more cloud cover east of the GTA, Northumberland County, over toward the city of Ottawa. And we've got lots of sunshine across southwestern Ontario. It's 20 degrees right now in Toronto, and that's the warmest it's been all day long. We spent the majority of the day in the teens, so that's a little cool for this time of year. Winds out of the west, they've been breezy too. No concerns when it comes to the weather for your evening sports tonight. We are looking at mainly clear skies and eventually an overnight low of 13 degrees. But today is the exception in what is expected to be an otherwise bit of an unsettled week. So we'll talk about the chances of rain and thunderstorms coming up. But for now, Michelle, I'm going to send it back over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, we have a developing story from Pickering tonight where police are investigating a multi-vehicle crash. Our CTV News chopper was over the scene near Valley Farm and Kingston Roads. This crash happened just before 5 p.m. At least 4 vehicles were involved in the collision, and 1 vehicle can be seen there off the roadway. Durham police tell us 3 people were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Their ages and genders have not been released at this stage, but road closures are in place in the areas as officers continue their investigation.
The latest now in a deadly crash in southern Ontario that happened Friday night. Symbols of love and support lay by the roadside in Mapleton Township today, where 5 children, all siblings, died in a crash Friday night. Police say an SUV and van collided, but it's still not clear how it happened. They say the children were in the van along with their parents, grandmother, and another child. The victims range in age from 4 to 12 years old.
Police in London have laid charges in a crash that left 7 women injured last week. A 59-year-old woman has been charged with 6 counts of criminal negligence causing bodily harm after a car crashed through the wall of a gym as people were working out inside. Police say one of the women hurt remains in critical condition. They're continuing to investigate.
2 people have been injured in a stabbing in Mississauga last night. It happened just after 11 near Mississauga Road and Dundas. One person was taken to a trauma center with serious injuries, while a second person suffered minor injuries. Police have not provided any details about possible suspects, and they're asking anyone with information to come forward. Officials in Brampton unveiled their security plans today ahead of Canada Day festivities.
It comes after more than a dozen people were arrested during Victoria Day celebration. CTV's John Musselman has the details.
Brampton city officials and Peel police say they want to avoid a repeat of this. More than a dozen people charged after fireworks were shot at people at a large gathering inside Chinkuzi Park on the Victoria Day long weekend. The upcoming Canada Day celebrations will include measures to crack down on illegal fireworks, including bag checks at all entry points.
Unfortunately, on Victoria Day, obviously there was some very reckless use of fireworks by some young people who clearly need to get their head a shake.
There'll be controlled entrances and exits, so we are allowing for food and water and drinks to come in, no alcohol. And your bags will be checked when you enter.
The city of Toronto faces a similar problem. This was the scene at Woodbine Beach on the same long weekend. 5 people were arrested, 2 of them for shooting fireworks into the crowd. Toronto police tried to be proactive, announcing there would be mounted units, ATVs on the beach, bike officers, and the Marine unit, but it didn't stop it. Today, a spokesperson with Toronto Police says the department will have more to say as we get closer to Canada Day. Meanwhile, back in Brampton, people we spoke with say they support the new security measures.
It's hard to process. Like, obviously, kids will be kids to a certain degree, but when it involves, like, just random people, I think that's where it gets a little out of line.
Definitely agree that it'll be safer for families, just to make sure that everything is running the way that it should and that no one is doing anything they're not supposed to.
It might be a little bit excessive, but I kind of get why they might have that concern kind of going into the Canada Day holiday.
Peel police say anyone who shows up with fireworks at Chinkuzi Park will be arrested and charged. Brampton residents under city bylaw are banned from using, selling, possessing, or discharging fireworks within the city. John Musselman, CTV News in Brampton.
Next to the World Cup, Team Canada isn't on the pitch today, but that hasn't stopped fans across the city from enjoying everything the World Cup has to offer.
From watch parties in bars and restaurants to the chance to see some players up close and personal. CTV's Jessica Smith joins us live now from the Delta downtown, where fans are gathering to welcome Team Ghana to the city. Jess.
The crowd has erupted here, Michelle. The team is set to arrive at any moment. We have Emmanuel and we have Juliet representing the Ghanaian Association of Ontario. What does this mean to you to have all this representation here?
Oh, it's massive. Today is the day. We are building momentum for the game on Wednesday. Right. And there is only one word: victory. That's it. Victory. We are building the momentum. It's starting today, tomorrow, and Wednesday.
And you know
the community is right up. We're all here. You can see a lot of, almost up to 1,000 people.
What I love about football is how united it brings everybody together, because we have representation from Panama. Juan Carlos, you flew in from Panama yesterday. What does it mean to be able to watch your team here, but also feel the unity between Ghana and yourself? Because yes, it's a competition, but football brings people together.
Yeah, because we're receiving also the Ghana team, because we are in unity. We are together. We're gonna play football and we're gonna have a good match. All the guys gonna play good, and we're gonna be here to watch the game. We are a good fraternity between each other, and we love it. We love the World Cup.
You were saying earlier you noticed the dancing and the music, and there's been so much dancing and so much music. Juliet, I have to ask you, how does this feel to see all these people here showing up, whether they were born in Canada, born in Ghana, representing the country that they love?
Yeah, this is history, right? So Ghana is in Canada, so all the generation can celebrate. Football unites us, and we're so excited to have our big team behind us. We're very excited. Yeah.
There have been performances going on. There's instruments, there's music, there's representation from everywhere. I feel like this must feel good to be able to come here and see all of this. It's going to be a big game, but I have to ask, do you have a score prediction?
Well, Panama, Ghana.
So, do you have a score prediction?
No. The prediction is 7-1. Again?
I don't tell you in Spanish. Panama, Ghana. Ghana, Panama. Ghana, Panama.
My favorite part about all of this is how united everybody is, because no matter where you come from, there is representation for every single jersey, every single country, representing Canada, Panama, Africa, the world. The team is arriving momentarily, so we'll try
So much passion on both sides. Thank you, Jess. Everybody's ready. Meanwhile, Team Canada is settled in over in Vancouver, hitting the pitch ahead of their next match. Still ahead, we'll take you to their training base to tee up the next matchup.
But first, the latest now on the OPSU strike. About 4,000 community service workers remain in the picket lines, forcing schools and therapy centers to shut their doors.
That's left families of kids with autism scrambling to make other arrangements. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has the details.
They told Owen.
Owen Reese has been writing a lot of letters the last 3 weeks, pleading with his brother to go home.
Pretty depressed about the whole thing. And we've tried to explain it, but we can't.
Trying to explain that his group home for adults with disabilities is closed. The community service workers who staff it are on strike, leaving Owen and his peers unmoored.
Because he's connected to his room, his records, he's connected to his friends, his routines, like a Friday dance.
About 4,000 workers represented by OPSU are on picket lines across Ontario, pushing for more funding and a wage catch-up after Bill 124, which limited pay increases. It was ultimately deemed unconstitutional. Parents of kids with autism are struggling to make alternative arrangements.
He told me, he cried. He said, I want to go back to school. I don't like stay home.
The work stoppage is affecting 22 workplaces, including schools and therapy centers.
These are the kids that everybody forgets about in their budget.
There is an option for some online learning, but it's not enough.
It's the emotional support, it's the social piece. You can't really just kind of hire a babysitter for kids like ours when unexpected things happen.
It's like a rug was pulled under our feet.
Annie Fayez says her 14-year-old son Zane has made incredible progress over the last year with fewer outbursts. Progress she fears is slipping away.
He's also very anxious, so I might have to ask my doctors, his pediatrician, to increase his anxiety medicine. He's not doing great, and I'm really very worried about regression.
All the family members affected by strikes say what they want is for the union and employers to really talk. Susan Cosgrove acknowledges there is a lot of passion in both camps.
Both sides really feel like they're fighting for what is best for our kids, but the people who are losing out are the kids.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
And still with that strike, Ontario's NDP has asked a provincial watchdog to investigate claims by OPSU that amid cutbacks on the front lines, private companies who manage public services are getting more than $1 billion taxpayer dollars.
Now, CTV's John Woodward reports the union is also warning thousands more workers could be on the picket lines.
Striking public sector workers stopped traffic on University Avenue briefly on Monday as their job action entered its 4th week.
There is not a single person who lives in Ontario that is not touched by the work that these workers do.
At issue, funding to the community service organizations they work for and lost wages to an Ontario bill that capped public sector payrolls before it was ruled unconstitutional.
This is going to be a very intense summer for workers who are all facing the same thing from this government, which is radical underfunding and short staffing.
Meanwhile, a report by OPSU found that government payments to private companies that administer some of these services have surged past $1 billion last year.
It's a lot of money.
NDP MPP Jessica Bell has now asked Ontario's Auditor General to look into those payments.
We're getting questions from social service agencies who are saying, where's the money going? We're not seeing it. We're having to lay off staff.
Her letter obtained by CTV News says the Auditor General should be on high alert and references another investigation, this one into the Skills Development Fund, which the union contends replaced public college funding with grants to private agencies who had connections to the Ford government. Ontario's government has said it's scaled up employment services, which correlates to the increase in funding, and said contractors are monitored closely. This week, the strike involves about 4,000 government workers in 22 bargaining units, but there are more bargaining units that could join if deals aren't made.
Right now, we're at about 4,000, 4,500 workers, and this could go up to close to 15,000 before it's done.
Meaning, without deals, there could be thousands more in demonstrations like these. John Woodward, CTV News.
The U.S. says details of the tentative ceasefire agreement with Iran will be released pretty soon, but there are outstanding issues before the Friday signing, including Lebanon.
At the G7 summit in France, Canada's Prime Minister and other world leaders welcomed the Memorandum of Understanding. CTV senior political correspondent Mike Lecouture has the details.
Everything is very nice, thank you.
As he celebrated brokering the deal, U.S. President Donald Trump gave a timeline for the full opening of the Strait of Hormuz.
They're doing a little hunting for a couple of mines that they've already found, but it's essentially ships are starting to go out now. On Friday, it'll be completely opened.
Nearly 1/5 of all shipped oil passes through that waterway, and Trump boasted it should be flowing again soon. The UK and France are making a push for a multinational naval mission to keep the strait open. Prime Minister Mark Carney has said Canada could contribute to securing the strait, but wasn't specific.
We'll have an opportunity starting from tonight at the G7 in Evian to see what we and other countries can do to help reinforce this important progress that's been made.
For the G7 leaders, the priority is also to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon.
First, it will fix the nuclear issue, and it's a very important matter for peace for the whole world.
Carney also underscored the importance of making global commodity systems more resilient to wars so consumers aren't affected by these types of conflicts.
I spoke to President Macron about a few options on Friday, and under his leadership and President Trump's and others will look to make progress there.
Trade will also be on the agenda at the G7, with the French president underlining the importance of working together. Tariffs do no one any good, especially between G7 countries, Macron said. Canada has that same message for the U.S., but Carney isn't planning to bring it up with Trump. He told reporters those discussions will be held on the sidelines of this summit between the Minister of Canada-U.S. Trade, Dominic LeBlanc, and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. Mike Lecouture, CTV News, Evian, France.
And here at home, reaction was mixed from members of Toronto's Iranian community to word of a potential deal.
And there are also questions tonight about how quickly any deal would be felt at the gas pump. CTV's Janice Golding reports.
The U.S. and Iran have reached a tentative deal to end a war that's caused the largest disruption to global energy supplies in decades. With the deal expected to be formally inked in Switzerland on Friday, the Strait of Hormuz could soon be reopened, meaning shipments of oil may soon start moving again.
We've depleted a lot of our reserves, emergency supplies. Those have to be replenished, and they won't be replenished overnight. This is going to be elevated prices for the foreseeable future.
While industry analysts say it clearly won't be a quick fix, the impact on global markets is already clear. Oil prices falling $4 a barrel at the news. Still, there is much uncertainty overseas. Israel has indicated it won't withdraw forces from land seized in Lebanon, while Iran's foreign minister has warned that Israeli attacks there need to cease and that the U.S. bears responsibility.
We will see what will happen.
You don't buy it yet?
No.
Here in the GTA, people from the Iranian community were mixed on the tentative deal.
I feel like the deal will keep this government more powerful.
Most of the people in Iran like to change the regime, but I think this time it doesn't happen.
But most told CTV News they're not in support of a U.S.-Iran deal.
Iranians all across the globe have felt the wrath of this regime, and there's no dealing with them anymore. Too many lives have been lost.
I'm not very happy with it, but as long as they're in power, I mean, Muslim Islamic Republic, I don't think anything gonna happen good for people.
Both Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as well as U.S. President Donald Trump had promised regime change at the start of the war, but that's now off the table.
We know President Trump has midterm elections that will be coming up in November. $5 a gallon gasoline would be a no-go zone and definitely hurt the Republicans.
With the U.S. set to ink a deal to get oil flowing again. Janice Golding, CTV News.
In Ukraine, 10 people were killed in a major Russian attack overnight. 5 people died and 34 were injured in strikes on the capital, Kyiv. Elsewhere, 5 people were killed and 5 others were hurt in an attack on Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city. Officials say they shot down only 15 of the 34 ballistic missiles launched by Russia. The Ukrainian president will appeal to allies at the G7 summit to quickly supply more air defenses. The latest attacks also damaged a 1,000-year-old monastery that symbolizes Ukraine's spiritual and cultural heritage. France said the strike on the UNESCO site was akin to bombing Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris.
Coming up, from road closures and traffic tie-ups to noise and safety concerns, how businesses and residents in Liberty Village are handling the not-so-attractive side of the beautiful game.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, the emergency scam is when criminals pretend to be a loved one in trouble to get you to send money. Now with AI, it's getting easier to copy someone's voice. One family just lost $6,000 to the scam. That story is just ahead.
Well, this past weekend brought us a scorcher on Saturday and then a soaker on Sunday. Check out some of these rainfall totals, upwards of 50, 60, even 70 millimeters of rainfall in just one day. We're looking at more in the way of active weather this week, mainly in the form of showers and often thunderstorms as well. But game time on Wednesday at 7 p.m. is looking good right now at Toronto Stadium. And as we head to break, here's a live look from the rooftop at Hotel X. CTV News continues in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
The emergency scam has been around for decades and involves criminals impersonating children or grandchildren to try and get you to pay bail money.
A father recently was defrauded when he took a call from someone who sounded exactly like his son because the voice had been cloned using AI. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. In the past, criminals would say they didn't sound like a loved one because they had been in an accident and broken their nose. But now with AI, criminals can take a small section of a person's voice and sound exactly like them, which is why emergency scams are on the rise. Neil asked us to shield his identity, but he wanted to share what happened to him to warn others. About a week ago, he got a phone call from someone claiming to be his son.
My son said, "Do you know who this is?" And I said, "Yes, it's Brian." He said, "That's right. I thought I was talking to him because it was his voice."
The caller said he had been in a serious car accident and was facing charges for talking on his phone while driving. A man who claimed to be his son's lawyer said he needed money or his son would spend the night in jail.
The lawyer said I needed to post bail of $6,000 to get Brian out of jail. An Uber driver arrived and I handed him the package with the $6,000 in it.
Neil says after he sent the bail money, he called his son the following day to check on him.
I happened to call Brian the next day and asked how the meeting with the lawyer went, and he said, "What lawyer?" And I said, "Well, what about the accident you were in?" He said, "What accident?" And then I realized that I had been scammed.
This is becoming a wildly popular way to scam.
Cybersecurity expert Jane Arnott says criminals now just need a small sample of a person's voice to clone it. They're then able to impersonate someone to sound just like them.
What they can do just by getting about 10 seconds of anyone's voice, they can recreate that voice to sound exactly like that person.
To avoid AI scams, don't post videos on social media, don't answer calls from numbers you don't recognize, have a family safety phrase or code word. In an emergency, call family members directly, never send cash, and don't be rushed to make decisions. Neil regrets losing $6,000, but says in the moment, he really thought the caller was his son.
Well, I can tell you that now they have managed to simulate that voice, and you believe it's real.
And to avoid having your voice cloned, you can switch your voicemail to an automated greeting and make your social media accounts private. And if someone calls and says they're in trouble or need money, hang up and call them back using a trusted phone number. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, it kind of started off cool, and then it really turned into a nice-looking afternoon.
I think a sunny, dry day is so fabulous, especially because we got so much rain yesterday. I feel like we should be through with the rain for a while, but this week there is more on tap.
Yeah, we're done with the heavy, steady, day-long rain, but what we are still looking at this week is the opportunity for some pop-up showers, maybe some thunderstorms. No need to water the garden this week. Mother Nature should help take care of it with the risk of thunderstorms as early as tomorrow afternoon. So hopefully you enjoyed the dry weather today. Let me show you where it has not just been dry, but hot the last couple of days, and that is Canada's other host city for the World Cup, Vancouver. This is Kitsilano Beach. Yesterday, 26 communities in British Columbia broke daily temperature records for the 14th of June, and it has been another hot one today. Look at the current temperature in Vancouver proper. It is 26 degrees at this hour. Also want to point out this ridge in the jet stream. It's 22 degrees in Yellowknife, so a lot of warmth across Alberta as well as Saskatchewan. It's cooler, though, in Manitoba and northwestern Ontario, and we right now in Toronto are at 19 degrees. So certainly a fresher feel out there today. It's still 22 degrees in Windsor. Seasonal norm is 24, so we were cooler than that today. Not record cool, although it is worth pointing out that areas like Bancroft, for example, could drop all the way to +5 for a low tonight. One more thing I want to point out, our sunset time tonight, 1 minute after 9 p.m. And we have a few of those to look forward to upcoming. 13 degrees is our forecast overnight low here in the city, which is near normal. And then tomorrow should be a more seasonal day with an afternoon high of 24 degrees, feeling more like 26 once you consider some humidity. But yes, starting tomorrow, sunshine to start, and then the chance of showers and risk of thunderstorms into the afternoon. It's quiet right now on the satellite and radar. However, we have an upper trough, we have some cutoff lows, and as they make their way toward us here in southern Ontario, that's when the active weather begins. So I'm just going to pause this as we make our way into tomorrow afternoon. So anytime between about noon and 4, this is when we have our best chance of perhaps some thunderstorms. There's 2 p.m. on the forecast radar. We should dry out somewhat for the evening. Another round of storms as we make our way into the overnight hours. Might be a few showers as you wake up on Wednesday morning. Midday, some showers and storms too, but here's 7 p.m. So we might dry out just in time for the next game, the match that's going to be happening at Toronto Stadium. And then overnight into Thursday, more widespread wet weather with the risk of thunderstorms too. We take you to Vancouver one more time because this is where Team Canada is going to be playing on Thursday, and the weather there is looking great. Once again, lots of sunshine. Thursday for us, though, not only are we still looking at showers, but it's going to be cloudy, unsettled, windy, 24 degrees though, so near normal temperatures. And then we're going to dry out as we make our way into Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So not a bad looking forecast overall. It's nice to get rid of some of that heat and oppressive humidity at least. That's the weather for now. Michelle, going to send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, on a mission to streamline services for families dealing with dementia, a new task force tackling gaps in care.
For years, families dealing with dementia have complained about the disjointed nature on services in Ontario.
Now, a new task force is working towards streamlining the system. Here's our health reporter, Pauline Chan.
For the past decade, Bruce Wood has been dealing with early onset dementia alongside his wife, former MP Lisa Raitt.
I knew the Ontario government well. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to turn. And it's that kind of gap in the system.
That's why she says the Ontario Dementia Task Force is so important for the 400,000 families dealing with this devastating condition.
I want to make sure that when we talk about dementia as a whole, that it's all of the points on that timeline, not just the beginning diagnosis or the end of life care.
Ontario spends $30 billion annually on dementia care. So it cannot be just a lack of funding here. We think the root cause has to do more with a lack of coordination and a lack of system pathways that do exist for other major conditions like stroke, palliative care, cancer.
The task force includes families, health services, policymakers, and more.
It's aiming to produce a series of recommendations over the next 12 to 18 months. and it would be in support of Bill 121, which is the dementia care bill.
The last thing a family needs is a list with 12 separate phone numbers on it for you to call to get 12 separate things that you need.
Saskia Sivananthan says with the advent of new drugs for use in early dementia, streamlining access to diagnosis and treatments is growing even more urgent. Rate talks of a recent moment when she spilled something while feeding her husband.
And he just kind of gave me this look like, you're a moron, Lisa. And then we both laughed. It was a moment of shared recognition of a small thing that happened. And, you know, in that moment, I forget he has Alzheimer's.
She says there are still moments of joy for her and Bruce, and every family deserves to enjoy those moments without the burden of struggling with a fractured system. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
New data released today shows a decline in opioid-related deaths in Canada last year.
But the crisis is certainly not over, and officials say the progress remains fragile. CTV's Abigail Beeman looks at the data.
I've accidentally died.
Angie knows how terrifying a drug overdose is.
I had a little puff, and I immediately fell forward and passed out, stopped breathing, and went completely blue.
The Public Health Agency of Canada released new numbers showing opioid deaths dropped by 23% last year, with hospitalizations down 12%. But there were still more than 5,600 deaths in 2025, a staggering 15 people every day.
It is fragile. We've seen a decrease for 2 years in a row, but that follows many years of increases, and the number of overdose deaths are still higher than they were before the COVID pandemic.
Officials say one of the reasons for the drop is more access to naloxone.
There is no silver bullet to solve this crisis.
But death from benzodiazepines, benzos, are 3 times higher than before the pandemic, and naloxone doesn't work there. While some think closing safe injection sites like this one in Ottawa will make things worse.
It's going to be a lot worse than what it is now.
It's a darn shame, and there's going to be a lot more ambulances running around.
Then there's the tie to the trade war, with the American president using fentanyl as a tariff justification. It turns out the Canada Border Services Agency seized less fentanyl in 2025 than the year before, when we didn't have a fentanyl czar.
It's a slight decrease. From my perspective, the drug trade in this country is largely domestic production and for domestic consumption.
Kevin Brasso went to Washington today to bring this latest data and sell the message that Canada's measures are working. He says in general, his conversations with Americans are well received. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
After the break, booking a ride on the East Coast has become a major challenge. Why so many car rental companies are running on empty and what's driving demand. A new survey from the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses finds a majority of small businesses feel they aren't getting enough support from Ottawa. 73% of respondents say the spring economic update did little to change their situation. 58% say they continue to feel pressure from rising fuel costs, while roughly 40% say economic uncertainty and other operating costs are making it difficult to do business. More than 50% of respondents say they would not recommend starting a business right now. Travelers, take note. If you're planning a trip to Newfoundland and Labrador this summer, you may have a tough time booking a ride.
Rental car giants are running out of inventory. CTV's Garrett Berry explains why and what you can do to secure some wheels.
Home to off-road vehicles, side-by-sides and motorcycles, this dealership near the center of St. John's is expanding to fill one of this city's highest demands, rental cars.
We realized that there was a need there. People are away from their families, working. They come back here to the province and they need rentals, and it seems like there's none to get.
High demand to see this province's natural treasures has frustrated some travelers. Others are going the extra mile to secure their ride.
We have some regulars that have booked years in advance.
And if you can't get a car here, good luck at the mainstream agencies. Canadian rental car guru Bob Hoke says availability on the East Coast is as low as ever. thanks to falling vehicle production and more Canadians wanting to stay inside the country.
This year, it's just kind of boiled over the top, and vehicles until late summer are non-existent.
To go see some of this province's biggest attractions, like whales or icebergs or puffins, you really might need a vehicle. Tourism operators say they're losing out on money when prospective clients try to book in Newfoundland and Labrador and can't find wheels to get around.
That's why this issue has gone all the way to the cabinet table in this province.
It's a good problem to have, that's for sure.
Tourism Minister Andrea Barber says the best solution is expanding off-season travel, keeping those rental cars moving all year round. Right now, the rental car giants tell her it's just too expensive to have full parking lots in the winter.
The cars are just going to sit there, rust, and the maintenance, it's just the cost is too high.
Freshwater Motorplex has 5 cars in its rental fleet, but staff are keeping one eye on expanding if demand stays high enough to make insurance and maintenance costs worth it. Garrett Berry, CTV News, St. John's.
Canada's World Cup team hit the pitch today preparing for its second match of the tournament.
The Canadians practice at their training base located at the University of British Columbia in beautiful Vancouver. Canada is looking to stay sharp as it gets ready for Thursday's group stage matchup against Qatar at BC Place Stadium. Our national team is in a 4-way tie in Group B after Friday afternoon's 1-1 draw against Bosnia-Herzegovina in the World Cup opener at Toronto Stadium. The players are hoping to build off the momentum from that game.
To bounce back and use some momentum that we had from the second half of Bosnia, just go in and try and replicate that second half against Qatar and get 3 points there, and then we can start talking and looking about whatever amount of points we need to try and top the group so we can stay in Vancouver. I think we can look at it as if we're all on even points with 2 games to left, as if the first game, it's the same goal differential. We want to go and win. That's it. If we win, we put ourselves in a good position.
In Toronto, the back of the bus was kind of painted over, so the guys in the back couldn't see, and they all moved up on the way to the game because we want to see the fans. We want to be a part of it. Obviously, we love seeing our fans and the streets filled and Canadian red jerseys everywhere. That's what we want out of this country, and that's what we're kind of building this for.
The Canadian men wrap up group play on the afternoon of June 24th versus Switzerland.
An absolute stunner in the World Cup today. The tiny island of Cabo Verde shocked the world in a 0-0 draw with Spain.
There's one section of blue in this stadium.
That's it. That is it. Cabo Verde with a result of a lifetime.
Spain is ranked 3rd in the world. Cabo Verde is 64th. This was Cabo Verde's first ever World Cup match. Spain are the European champions and is considered one of the favorites to win the whole tournament. In today's other daytime match, Belgium kept Egypt from securing their first ever win in their 4th tournament appearance, despite Egypt taking a 1-goal lead. Belgium forced an own goal from Egypt to tie the game at 1. Saudi Arabia and Uruguay got underway at 6. Saudi Arabia got the first point in the 40th minute. The game sits at 1-0. And tonight, Iran takes on New Zealand. That game starts at 9, and you can catch those games on TSN. Just ahead, congested on a typical day, but what about when the World Cup is in town? We head to Liberty Village, where some businesses are hoping to score big throughout the tournament. Others working to mitigate the influx of fans. When the World Cup was announced for Toronto, there were lots of questions about what the impact would be on those who live and work near Toronto Stadium and the fan festival locations.
In particular, Liberty Village, where residents got their first taste of the World Cup madness during Canada's opening game Friday. CTV's Raheem Ladani checked it out today to see how things went.
The next World Cup match in Toronto isn't until Wednesday night, but parking in Liberty Village is still being impacted.
It is frustrating. I've got to go for an interview right now, and I got to find another spot.
Right now, it's a bit annoying.
This was the scene in Liberty Village last Friday.
Let's go Canada!
A flood of fans for Team Canada's match, and those who were there say it was busy, however, not chaotic.
Not too busy, not too much traffic, but there was a good amount of people that you could still get by and do what you got to do.
We felt secure. We were walking, so
We wouldn't say that there was traffic at all.
Businesses in the area had been anticipating a lot of congestion and inconveniences. So much so, Village Family Health Team has rescheduled all non-urgent in-person appointments to non-match days.
Our Rose Pecan Bar is just like it sounds.
Quest Exo Chocolate is another business that has moved their workshops to non-match days, although the gridlock isn't as bad as they thought it would be.
We had a taste when Messi was here, 40,000 people coming down, and we had police trying to alleviate traffic at these intersections just by letting traffic go through. It was chaotic. The city has done a great job to prevent that happening for World Cup games.
Meanwhile, some residents in the area still aren't taking the chance.
Oh, it was good because I avoided it all.
How'd you avoid it?
Drive out of the city.
But so far, the city's planning is being applauded.
I give them an 8 out of 10.
Well above a passing grade, with 5 more World Cup matches to be played in the city. Raheem Ladani, CTV News.
And the next game in town this week, we're looking ahead to Wednesday because that's an open stadium. It'd be nice if it didn't rain.
Yes, and there is the threat of at least a few showers on Wednesday. Game time is looking pretty good, but I know that fans like to gather early to enjoy some outdoor watch parties. So this is a look at your watch party forecast for Wednesday. Just a heads up, in the afternoon, we do have the chance of showers. Again, improvement for the evening, and then the chance of showers or more widespread rain is going to return as we make our way overnight into Thursday, and then those outdoor watch parties for cheering on Canada on Thursday might be a little disrupted too, with some wet weather in store. Michelle and Nathan.
Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to watch Omar Sajidin tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zrada Alman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.